We do want to get to the breaking news out of Sterling Heights now, where police have shot a driver reportedly trying to run officers over.
Yeah, it happened in a subdivision in the area of Forer Court, south of 15 Mile Road. Nick Monticelli is on the scene for us this morning. What have you learned, Nick?
Good morning. So this is the court where all of this ended. You can see it is a dead end. There's nowhere to go. That's why the suspect essentially got caught in here. So all of this started a couple of blocks away in this residential subdivision here in Sterling Heights, not far from 15 Mile Road and Van Dyke, between Van Dyke and Dodge Park, if you're familiar with the area. Sterling Heights police officers tried to pull the vehicle over. They did because of dark tinted windows, too dark, and not having any headlights on. They pulled the suspect vehicle over, got out of their police car, started walking up to it, and then the vehicle took off. So there was a chase in this neighborhood with speeds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Now, this only lasted a short while throughout this area, and then the suspect pulled into this court. Again, it's a dead end. It's a court. They had nowhere to go. So when they realized that, they stopped here right in the middle of the court. Officers started walking up that vehicle, and that's when the vehicle tried fleeing again, but in the opposite direction towards the officers. Fearing for their safety, one of the Sterling Heights officers fired shots into the vehicle, striking the suspect, the driver, a couple of times. That driver, though, is expected to be okay.
And then ultimately, he was going to do whatever he could to flee. He just didn't know the area, and he drove into a court in a dead end. So ultimately, he had nowhere to go, and he was going to do whatever he could to flee that location.
So again, the suspect now in stable condition, but in custody at the hospital. There was one Sterling Heights officer that had minor injuries throughout this. That officer has already been treated and released from the hospital. Michigan State Police now taking over the investigation. That's a standard protocol when there is an officer involved shooting for another agency to kind of swoop in and take over, so there's not any conflict of interest with the investigation itself. We're in Sterling Heights. Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
All right, Nick, thank you. We do want to break this down a little bit more to get your perspective as a former police officer. They're trying to pull this driver over for tinted windows and no headlights, and it ends up with a shooting.
Yeah, the biggest thing is that an officer has to feel that they're in an imminent threat. There's an immediate imminent threat of danger for him or herself as well as the public. And with that being said, if they can articulate that there is an imminent threat, if a vehicle is coming directly towards you and you cannot get out of the way, then you have unfortunately, you're able to use deadly force because a vehicle can easily kill someone. So the imminent threat is the key to this entire situation. And unfortunately, this situation ended this way. Hopefully that the person, the victim is okay or the suspect is okay, as well as everyone else involved.
And the officers are okay because that vehicle was then being used as a weapon.
Absolutely.
Right. Is it real quickly, is it just, as soon as, like, I guess I've never been on a scene, never been in that situation to know if you can jump out of the way, but as soon as somebody hits that car and hits the gas and you know they're coming at you, is that a green light for an officer to open fire?
It's so many variables, Jason, that depend on this. And the distance, the split second, you have to make that decision. Yeah. How close is the vehicle? Vehicles can accelerate pretty fast. And so with that being said, it's just something that will have to be investigated. They'll be doing measurements if there were some skid marks, the distance from the vehicle to the individual. There's all factors that play a part in this. But again, the big thing is to articulate or be able to say it's an imminent threat of danger.
It's a tough job. That's for sure.
Hopefully everybody's okay.
Split-second decisions. Speaking of that investigation, it will continue. You can stay with us both here on the air and on clickondetroit.com and our streaming on Local 4 Plus as we continue to keep you updated as that investigation continues.